Tom. I haven't talked to him. It feels like it's weird because we probably spent the better part of how many years we've been doing the show together, Tom? You know how many years we've been doing it? You're on mute.
Well, there you go. I usually mute it on the board itself, so not long enough for me to know what mute and non-mute functions are. But this May, if you're including the internship and that part of it, 15 years. 15 years.
Yeah, so I think for the better part of 15 years is the right way to say it. We've had a daily interaction. And yesterday we didn't like sometimes we go a day occasionally. Now, if we're on vacation, if you're on vacation, I'm on vacation. That's the exception. But like as a work day, pretty much talk every day. And it occurred to me, yesterday was a Seminole Headlines Day. You and I have not had a chance to talk on the Jeff Cameron Show about just the bombshell nastiness of Florida State's, shall I retort? And it was a thing of beauty. And I tried to state it emphatically yesterday. And I think I've said it in as many ways as I can to people on and off the air. Like that to me was as big a FU and we are done here moment as there could possibly be delivered. Like if that were a breakup, there is no, you're going to talk to each other in the future. There is no, I wish you well. There's no, at this point, when you go after the man and the man's kid, you've decided that all bets are off here. That's a breakup that ends with, I hate you. I hope we never see one another again. And if we do, I hope you trip and fall and hurt yourself. I hate you. And you're like, okay, well, there's no ambiguity in that letter. I don't think Susan would like to talk to me ever again. Okay, I got it. That is the end of that. It was awesome. There's no, well, they left the door open a little bit. No, they didn't. It's almost obscene, and it's beautifully obscene. It's just, let's light this bitch on fire. It's glorious. Did you read the same way? Did you not get excited in the same way?
Oh, I did. The thing is, it's almost like this representation of Florida State. I know there are a couple of holdovers in the athletic office and maybe some even on the legal team that, have been living and dying by the situation for a long time. But it's almost like they're speaking for everyone over the past 12 years, because that's around the time that the grant of rights was initially signed, and we knew that Florida State was heading down this path with the ACC long term. But a lot of these players, at the board of trustees level, certainly the athletic director wasn't here. The president of the university was not here. A lot of these guys inherited this situation, and yet that document read as, hey, for the last 12 years of what you've been doing to everybody, not just us, long before we got here, this is for you, pal. And it's, and it's a middle finger. And yes, it was nice to see nepotism and Swofford get thrown around there left and right as one of the principal keys to it.
They specifically named him instead of using ACC in the place of John Swofford. And then they went after Chad. And that too was great. And I cannot stop chuckling that the man's name is Chad. It was so perfect. It'd be like going after a woman who was insufferable and her name is Karen. You just couldn't believe it worked out so perfectly. And the more I read it, I thought, oh, well, that is so perfect. But it also answered some questions. And I think that's the other part of it. It's sort of what would they be willing to do? How far are they willing to go? And, way back after that original Board of Trustees meeting, Tom, I remember saying to you on the air, and we talked about this a little bit, and we said, don't underestimate the significance of the willingness to put that on video. Don't underestimate how important it is that they not only chose to say what they said, but they did it knowing that the world was watching. Because to me, that is overwhelming evidence that they were willing to go the distance. That's a shot across the bow. It is, and I said at the time, it's not a jab, it's a declaration of war. You have just told everybody else in the conference. That's what I'm saying. This is where I'm getting to. And then if they needed affirmation, they got it a couple days ago. But you have just told everybody in the conference, yo, the time is now. Let's go. And the question was going to be sort of whether or not you had your ducks in a row, whether or not you understood to the degree that needed to be understood what was coming back at you the second you did it. It made me think of Only It's Timed Right, the famed clip, the Leroy Jenkins bit. It's Florida State yelled Leroy Jenkins. It just went in. And they're like, damn it, Leroy. Like, that's the ACC furious. And I'm thinking, yeah, man, that's it. Time's up. Time's up.
Yeah, that's what he says in the beginning, and that's where Boston College and Wake and Duke go. No,
Leroy, what are you doing? Yeah.
Time's up. Let's do this, Leroy. I mean, that's
it.
What it was, and the thing is that now you're starting to see it in the language I saw in the last week of North Carolina's chancellor, which flies in the face of Cunningham's language, which is what we know North Carolina to have been in this process: cowardly. Like Clemson, cowardly. Man, when there's this much teeth, this many teeth, and I'm not saying that Florida State's going to get out for $0.
They're not.
But a lot of people thought this was going to be a house of cards. They built it up. Oh, that's a weak case. Florida State. Come on, guys. You're complicit in every step of the way. And Florida State brings its first lawsuit or whatever you want, its first action, then the amended complaint. And you see that there are layers upon layers here that they can bring to a settlement negotiating table. What's your excuse, Clemson? What's your excuse, North Carolina? Why weren't you on the ground with us initially? Because this evidence is for everybody to consume.
It is, but it's interesting. This is what happens when you're at the forefront and you're exacting change and you are a trailblazer. And I'm not trying to paint Florida State as heroic. Florida State is rightfully, understandably, desperate, but in the right kind of way. You have to, there comes a time, there's a moment, there's a line drawn where you decide, all right, am I in or am I out? What am I doing here? I understand that all that comes with this. Like, if you want to bring it back to a sports conversation, if you want to bring it back to, a training type regimen, there's this idea that you have at some point where you say, I'd really like to get in the best shape of my life. Well, anybody can say that. I mean, you and I could sit around over a couple of beers in an off season and say, I think this next year is going to be different. I'm gonna get after it. I'm gonna train. Okay. Well, what are you training for? Well, it's not that I want to look good. I want to train for something. I have a goal. What's your goal? Well, I'd really one day like to compete in the Ironman. Whoa. There's a world of difference here. I love going to Orange Theory. Orange Theory Fitness is awesome. It is not the same as deciding at the sacrifice of everything else that I do out here in the non-fitness world, I'm going to do this pursuit of an impossibly difficult race, right? I have to swim every day. I've got to run. I've got to do all these things. I got to eat right. I got to go to bed on time. I can't have a sip of alcohol. I got to give it all up. I'm all in. At some point, you just say, I'm in. I'm doing it. Well, Florida State recognized rightfully, this isn't going to work, guys. If you look at what we decided to do years ago, when we built this incredible facade at Doak Campbell Stadium, and invested in being an elite football program because we understood the economic impact and we understood what it would do for the university, the growth of the university, the academic side, the total enrollment, as well as what it did for all of the other programs, athletic programs, and what it would do for the department. So they understood that by anteing up and going all in, that was a decision you really can't go back on. You can't decide, oh, nope, didn't mean it. You're all in. Everything that you're gearing towards is dependent on that commitment and the success. Now, you're not going to have a success in perpetuity. I mean, you have up years and down years, but you can't have too many of them or you end up like Nebraska. And you can't have too many of them or you just go away. You become obsolete. As we say on the show, you go the way of the dodo. Florida State couldn't afford to do that. And where we've been angst-ridden in the past, Tom, as Noles and as those covering the program, there have been some stretches there, the lost decade, for example, and then just after Jimbo, where you go, ooh, this is getting uncomfortable. This is going on too long. This is too many years in the wilderness. One too many times out there at the back of the bar in the alley by the dumpster, getting kicked dirt in the face, right? We got to start turning this around. And Florida State did. They've been able to do it. In this case, their future, their existence, who they are, their identity was on the line. And so somewhere along the way, they recognize, rightfully so, it's a matter of economics. Oh, well, the landscape's changed, and we need to change with it. And if this conference can't, then we can't be here. And we're going to go ahead and sound the alarms. Now, it's not, I don't know if they thought that others would recognize what is plainly obvious. I don't know how these other institutions didn't think to themselves, they're right. They're really, really right. Only to say that maybe perhaps the arrangement for many teams in the ACC is just fine. They're very comfortable at Wake Forest with the arrangement. They're very comfortable at Boston College with the arrangement. They know they're not what we are. I'm not trying to be dismissive of what they are as academic institutions. I'm talking about the nuts and bolts of running a successful, powerful, dominant, elite football program. Those programs recognize they're probably getting what they should get. If you're Wake and BC and Syracuse and the rest of these half-ass schools that don't matter in the big picture of college football, then you're probably happy with the arrangement. But Florida State can't afford to be, can't be, period, ever, in that situation, not for a prolonged period of time. And Clemson should know that, should recognize that. North Carolina should too. I mean, I'm sure they figured out a long time ago, it ain't basketball, baby. That's somewhat irrelevant in the big picture. Your history be damned. Pretty sure Miami recognized it. I don't know if they care to compete, but that's the point. Like, you've got to do what's in your best interest. And I wondered at the time, I think maybe to a point we all did, do they understand that this will be for blood? Because once you make the declaration that I'm describing, you have just declared war on the conference, and the conference is now going to have to come back in whatever way they can to defend themselves, because if they lose Florida State, they're pretty much about to lose any chance they have long-term of competing on equal footing with the power conferences that remain, the Power Two.
Well, that's the delusion that they believe. They cannot compete. They are not competing on the same footing as the Power Two. It's not happening. And it won't happen if, in the best case scenario for the ACC, until the middle part of the next decade, when they can come up with a negotiation, and at that point, they can see what they're worth. But they're not competing at the same level. You have the college football playoff chairman, whatever Bill Hancock's title is right now with the playoff committee and the playoff organization, saying that we are a so-called Power Five conference. So-called. Mm-hmm. We're not one of them. We're not in the club. The ACC is not in the club. And to your point, this is what happens when a majority or enough votes that don't get cast in an organization are not a part of the club themselves, and they know they'll never be a part of the club. So this is okay by me. Like Boston College, for example, we've been in a corporate setting or two. That's where we first met, was in a corporate setting. You know how many good people got laid off by the corporation that were so much more qualified and productive than somebody who got left on board? Why did that person stay and the other one go? Not politics. Their salary was too low. They're like the office cockroach, and that's what happens in corporate America is, oh, well, he doesn't get paid enough, so let's keep him around, or what he should be paid. Let's cut this other person, make them work double. Like, that was me 10 years ago. I got lucky because I was on hourly, not salary. Mm-hmm. But in a way, that's Boston College right now. Their value. Boston College, they're this whole time they're going, they're not saying a word.
No, they won't say anything. Yeah,
they're looking back and forth. They're going, how long? How long do you think this lasts? How long before they figure it out? Because
how long till they wake up and go, this is ridiculous?
Well, speaking of wake up. Wake Forest tells you that they're one of the fastest growing institutions, one of the fastest growing, 106% increase, this and that.
Yeah.
If that was actually true, and let's say that they were, then they would want out too, because this is a bad deal for them. It's a bad deal for you, Wake. Why don't you acknowledge it as a bad deal for you?
Because they know it's not. It's a great deal for them. It's been a great deal for them. And by the way, let me answer this, Live Spectator. I'm not putting North Carolina football in the same stratosphere as FSU and Clemson in terms of on-field success. I'm talking about their value to the Big Two. And they understand that they are immensely valuable. Some would say more valuable in a lot of ways than Clemson and maybe even Florida State. North Carolina is desired by the SEC and by the Big Ten. They have a landing spot. They should recognize that as being vitally important because it's all the money. It's all the money. Go. Be part of the mass exodus. This second-class conference cannot compete. And they don't seem to have an understanding of just how dire the circumstances are, or they would not have answered so many of these direct questions with deflections time and again. And now the gloves are off. Yes, now they're answering, and they're doing so, I'd say, rather significantly. They are announcing their presence with authority. They fired back. And Florida State, as I said at the outset, said, allow me to retort. And now you wonder, where is this going to go? Because I got to believe there's more in the coffers. Let's go. Get it out there, baby. This is where the ugliness, if you had sought to avoid this, had they known that the second volley was going to be, oh, yeah, well, John Swofford's a crook who set his son up for success and steered contracts to Raycom so that they can continue to steal money. Whoa. What? Fellas, we're having a conversation about the conference. What is that? I mean, that's beyond a besmirch. that is altering the way a man's career and legacy is viewed. This changes the dynamic of the way families are spoken of. You have just decided to skip and go straight to third base from first. We're over here at second base. You can't cut across the diamond. Oh, we're cutting across the diamond. I ain't got time for all this. You want to come back with something? Come on. And it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch, and it's also affirming. That's my point. When they did it, when I sat and read that piece yesterday morning, that was one of the best coffee moments in the last several months that I've had. You guys all know I like to get up early, have some coffee, and chill out and enjoy the few minutes of silence I get in a day. And the kids are asleep, and my dog is asleep, and my wife is asleep, and I read a couple of things, and I sip my cup, and I see what the weather's going to be like, and I'd be an old man. I love it. And I'm reading that article, Tom, and I'm laughing. I'm chuckling. This is fantastic. I want to call you. I almost called you right then and there. I'm like, I wonder if he's up. This is one of the coolest things I've ever read. This is a suck it moment.
So I knew that something was coming Monday night, because Ira called me around 6:45, 6:50 p.m. He said, hey, got wind that, this amended complaint is coming down. So the smash turned into like a recruiting chat, because Ira needed to go parse through that. There's a lot of documents. You got to take a look. Here's the first one. It's X amount of pages. Here's the second one. It's nearly 60 pages. All right. What the hell is different between A and B? And then so nothing came of it until I was already asleep. I rolled over halfway through the night, and I wondered. I pulled up social, which I never do. And I said, I wondered, did we write? Did he post? And sure enough,
yeah, it was.
He did. And he's like, and they brought the fire. I was like, okay, so let's read this thing. And it's awesome. But here's the thing that's coming. Here's my prediction, and I don't think it's really that difficult of one. I'm not going out on a limb here.
Here's what you're going to do. You're going to save it. That's the ultimate tease. Ooh. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Oh, I'm Jimmy Fasig.
And I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices.
When you're in an accident, traffic cameras can be the best source of evidence to prove who's at fault.
That's why Fasig Brooks has partnered with RoadProof to have access to all their traffic camera footage.
With RoadProof, we can search our network of traffic cameras to find the evidence that could help you win your case.
Call us today to see if we can help find the proof to help you come back stronger.
Call us 777777.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Greg Tisch, and I'm here to tell you about TCC's first semester. In the fall of 1966, about 300 students were expected to enroll at the brand new Tallahassee Junior College. A total of 698 enrolled, exceeding everyone's expectations. The campus was not finished, though, so classes took place in Rickards High School and then Godby High School. Today, TCC has 7 campuses and enrolls around 15,000 students annually.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Power Mill Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com now.
Conversation. It's like we were talking during the break, Tom. It's like why people like Succession. It's like you get into the gloves are off phase, and people fighting for their existence. Things happen. Things get said, and we can all relate. There's a you could say, well, this is something that is extrapolated immensely, but it's a microcosm of certain arguments you've had in the workplace or in certain relationships when the rubber met the road and things had to be said and we had to define our terms. Let's define our terms. What are you mad about? What am I mad about? What are we actually arguing about? And then, who's willing to go all the way in this discussion? and expose feelings and vulnerabilities and all this stuff. And, it's a lot different if it's somebody you love. This is much more ugly and combative because there's no love lost here. This isn't like, oh, we'd like to preserve this thing. We'd like to see this work out. This is an FU. I don't care. I can't survive if this continues the way that it's going. So here it is. And there it is. This is the Jack Black punting.
Oh, man. What do you love? You destroyed the only thing I love. What do you love?
That's it. That's where we're at.
So here's the prediction. It's already happened in a way once, but if you looked at what's going on with North Carolina, you've got their athletic director calling out Florida State for barking, quote unquote, in the recent past. Their chancellor said in this past week that he hopes they don't have to cut some of their 28 sports that they are so proud. They're so proud of Carolina with 28 different programs. They hope they don't have to cut any. That chancellor was talking about financial realities, including NIL in this day and age. But then their version of Peter Collins, their board of trustees chair, said, and here's a couple of lines, there's more. I think that we all just need to realize that it's a new day in college athletics than it was when the ACC was created. He also says, if the current financial model of the Atlantic Coast Conference doesn't improve, then it would cause real concern about how Carolina could continue to maintain its excellence in athletics. So here is my prediction. That's already the first echo. Be prepared for echoes from different corners of this conference, like at Clemson and maybe a couple of others, that are going to say the exact same thing that we were saying last year. It reminds me of a couple of years ago when I was in between the old place of employment and Warchant. I took a sabbatical. I took a month. I went up north to go see some family up here. And as I was getting up here, the doors were just opening from COVID. Like the lights were coming on, restaurants, bars, and the people sounded exactly the same as we did in Florida a few months earlier. It was like, oh, thank God, we're back. I'm like, I told my wife, it's like going back into a time machine. I'm hearing echoes. It's the same thing that we were experiencing. It's wild to see that a few months later down the line. That is what's going to happen here. It's going to drive us nuts as Florida State fans and, as you put it, as Trailblazers. But be prepared. The Board of Trustees chair from North Carolina is the first, but there are going to be another handful or two of power players in this conference that are going to sound just like we did last year.
Well, okay. And I'll continue down that path. When we were critical, now I don't want to relitigate all of this, and there were some things that I could have said differently, but at the time that I thought Bobby Bowden needed to step down at FSU, this was a debate amongst the fan base. We all went back and forth, and was there a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this, and what were we in the midst of doing, and what should happen, and how long should somebody get to right the ship, and all this stuff, right? And I remember the thing that aggravated me the most, and you remember this because I said it over and over again, these same folks, these talking heads at ESPN that are ripping those that are on the side of moving on are the same ones that every Saturday when Florida State loses to somebody they ought not lose to somebody who has less talent, and it's decisive. And they're in the midst of having a 5-loss or 6-loss season that rips our asses for being terrible in football. That just goes prattling on and on about how bad Florida State is. But God forbid anybody else says, yeah, man, I know. We need to make a change. We got to do something. It's unfortunate. It sucks. It's sad. It's all these things. But this ain't it. This isn't going to get it done. So you can't make fun of us for losing left and right. And then when somebody says we should be able to make a change without being ridiculed nationally, and then come back and ridicule us nationally, you can't do it. And we knew this is exactly what was going to happen. The second that Florida State's case had some teeth, and the second that they began to realize that maybe, just maybe, they're in the same set of dire circumstances that Florida State finds themselves in, and that perhaps Florida State, about the economics anyhow, is right, they're going to start singing the same tune. To your point, they're going to say those same things that they were mocking and ridiculing when Florida State's Board of Trustees first brought it up. They didn't this is the other part of it. This is about the wine and cheese aspect of this conference. So they got all up in arms because Florida State got a little boisterous in the meetings over in Jacksonville. And things went from a calm tone, a respectful conversation, to perhaps voices were elevated in the room. This is what happens when there's a lot at stake. This is what happens when there's a lot on the line and you don't feel that you're being heard. At some point, having very, very even-keeled decorum in the midst of a very serious discussion fails. It wanes because the desperation and the anger and the frustration grows. And people who are frustrated and scared and fighting for their life don't talk in calm, even tones to those who aren't listening about the desperate nature of their predicament. So this is how those kinds of conversations get elevated to a place of, well, this is downright ugly. You're right. It is ugly. And it's going to get uglier because you're not hearing me.
So here you go again. This is John Pryor, not to be confused with John Shire. Mike Patrick, how you doing? Hope you're listening. This is something that it's going to sound very familiar to you because we had talked at length about football is the last one out the door. Like when you're talking about you're going to cut down programs, you're going to cut down expenses, like football will always remain for as long as possible because this is Florida State. This is a move if you're trying to get out of the conference that saves your program, all your sports. Like this football will be the last to get hurt. And to that point, here he is. We have a proud tradition of excellence in a lot of these Olympic sports, from women's soccer to women's field hockey. We're so lucky to have Aaron Matson as the field hockey head coach, and so lucky to have Jenny Levy with women's lacrosse and so on. Obviously, we have to look at the expense of those Olympic sports and what we might be able to do to offset that expense and cost in future by increasing revenue. It's the conversation we had, which is, you like Lonnie being around?
You like the softball team?
You like do you like soccer national championships?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to compete in basketball?
It's on delay. Part of me thinks this is what makes me mad. They knew it all along what the economic situation was at an institution like North Carolina. They knew this was coming. So did they posture because they thought that we couldn't penetrate the grant of rights? Poor phrasing, I suppose, but it is considered ironclad. Were they fearful that we couldn't do that? So, and if they were, then what were their lawyers looking at? Because I'm assuming they're one of the Magnificent Seven that sent lawyers to review these documents over the years.
Well, remember, this is where the political happens because you have a lot of relationships, and this gets into the what a tangled web we weave discussion. This is where that goes. I mean, Life Spectator, who has familiarity of that region, I know for a fact, is right to point out that UNC AD Bubba Cunningham and Swafford are best friends. So what else would you expect? There's a lot of that best friendness and those that benefited from the good old boy network for years and years and years.
You can find any number of periodicals when, you've got Swafford pounding his chest about what they were able to do with ESPN and the ACC network. And Swafford, they're old boys. So John Skipper and Swafford are longtime North Carolina friends, and they both openly say on the record that one of the reasons they wanted to make this deal work was because they wanted Raycom to continue to exist. That's in periodicals of the time, press releases.
Yeah,
so,
they left the part out of, but because my son works there, they left that part out.
But you can see it. They're at the 19th hole at Pinehurst. Look, my son's just not as smart as I am. So, John, what can you do for me? Well, John, here's what I can do for you.
Well, hey, by the way, not for nothing, I thought that was fascinating. The name John Skipper got mentioned. That was just sort of like, hey, we're not going there yet. That's a different thing, but just make it so that it's in the document so he sees it. It's like walking past somebody that you have a problem with, but you hadn't reached that place yet where it's going to become either physical or you're going to confront them down the line if things continue in this manner. And as you pass them, the setting isn't quite right, but you're able to give the 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you moment, and or the knowing nod. And everybody, that's what that was. Like, hey, man, don't think we don't know. That's all that is. And it's, I'll tell you, it's a movie. I mean, it's a good movie. Somebody in the chat yesterday did a great job of quoting the line from Michael Clayton, which is one of my 3 favorite movies. But you think you got the horses for that? One of the great lines, right there, Clooney and him back and forth on the street. You're like, oh, and you think you got the horses for that? You're like, here we go. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We think we have the horses for that. And now it gets I just can't wait. There's going to be a retort, and it'll be scathing.
Yeah.
I mean, that like Florida State doesn't. So yesterday I was thinking the lawyers working on behalf of the university in a situation like that, Tom, are sitting there having gone through everything and written up the response. There's a moment. One likes to almost picture it from a movie over a glass of very expensive scotch, perhaps a cigar, and, a beautiful den with a mahogany desk and all of the books. And there is the casual, it's done. You want me to hit send on this? you want me to hit send on this? You realize what's coming back if I hit send. You want to read this? Because it's done.
Yeah.
You love the moment. And the emphatic, oh, no, I know what's in there. Please hit send. Now, you wake up the next day with the realization we live in a new world, that there is going to be something on the way back. Now, you better know what's coming back. What I'm interested in, and I have no idea, did the ACC, because many of these people are no longer involved, and Jim Phillips doesn't have a clue what the hell's going on. He's like, well, good God, this is getting ugly. Poor Jim's over here, flustered, clutching his pearls. He's like, what is happening, everybody? This seems a little bit nasty.
And then there's an executive at the CW who has 7 voicemails, and he's like, 7? I work at the CW. I never have more than 2. I'm like, all right, let's play the messages. Dennis, this is it's Jim.
It's Jim
Look,
again.
we're having some difficulties right now, as you know, with Florida State. I just wanted to pick your brain. Since we're working partners and friends, you've had some experience with disputes. Just give me a call anytime. I mean, here's my cell. All 24 hours, Dennis. Give me a call. Next message.
Dennis, it's Jim again.
It's Jim. I know I just called you 3 hours ago, but I was wondering, I was hoping, maybe you had some time.
The third message. Dennis, I'm sorry to bother you again, but it's kind of important. Can you get back to me tonight? I don't think this can wait. I don't think this can. Just if you would, maybe I forgot to leave my cell.
I thought I might have said 4887, but it's actually 4885.
Yeah,
just in case.
Sorry if I gave you the wrong number. If you could get back to me, please. That he's just like, well, I didn't realize how ugly this was gonna get, guys. This is maybe we should let him leave. Maybe we should it looks like now maybe we should let him leave. Yeah. We could have avoided all of this.
Well, and you said that it could end in a moment with a scotch and a cigar and somebody just going, done, and they hit the button.
Yeah.
But don't you agree that it had to have started with brandy and 2 old war vets, like Swaffy and Skipper, who were saying, my son Chad, he's just like the other rest of his generation. They're just not as strong as we were, John. They're just not as strong. So I'm worried about him. What do you say, for old time's sake? It's like, the old district attorney and the old sheriff having a brandy, and they're saying, well, my son's not strong enough to be on the force, but I think he could do well with the law. What do you say he clerks for you this summer? Could he clerk for you this summer?
Yeah.
We go way back. Of course he can clerk for me. Of course Ray Comp can come in for 25 cents in the dollar. You've got it. Anything you need, pal.
It's, they had to know. Those are smart people on both sides working diligently on this. They just had to know from the opening salvo, well, this has the potential to get ugly. And this is why we were kind of talking about it in those terms. Like, hey, that was a strong opener. That was the first one was just sort of a nasty email. Like that first Board of Trustees meeting is a lengthy and considerably nasty email. But it portends. And at that point, you're the recipient of said email in the triangle, and you go, ooh, I'll call some higher ups before I respond to this here. I think this could get a little feisty, guys. This could get a little feisty. Now, we're talking about people who know where the bodies are buried. So we've got to, these are delicate times. Very eggshelly kind of stuff going on here, guys.
Yeah.
This is Warchant blogger, all Knowles.
That's That's where the ACC was digging. The best they got is Warchant, and hey, you could
Check
do
out
worse.
one of their message boards, guys.
You could do worse than Warchant. Believe me. You know, this is the pinnacle. But that's what they got. We got Swafford, nepotism, implications as skipper. We got severe discounts, but sure, all Knowles. Bring it. What you got?
Well, I dare say that again, you didn't hit send without knowing there will be blowback here, and I'm curious to see what's there. What's there? I mean, at some point you got to figure something ugly is coming back your way. And is there a third level? Are we going to get down in the muck even further? Will mistresses be brought to light? Oh. I mean, where are we going to go? now Guys, come in here. They brought up Lisa Stan. Remember her? I do. Oh, do I? She's in the latest document, guys.
The Christmas party. Oh, no.
That was a good Christmas party, though, wasn't it? It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A Greyhound bus and a car collided on a northern Alabama road, killing a man and injuring the bus driver and 8 bus passengers. The bus was traveling from Tallahassee to Nashville. The crash happened shortly after 10 p.m. Monday. Sydney C. Benson, 23 years old, of Ardmore, Alabama, was killed in the wreck. Authorities said the bus struck Benson's SUV, and then the bus left the road and overturned. The bus driver and 8 passengers were injured and taken to hospitals. 6 of the passengers had been released from the hospital by Tuesday. The investigation is ongoing. A student organization at Florida State University has been suspended until May 15th of 2025 for disrupting a Board of Trustees meeting back in November. Members interrupted the meeting chanting "Free, Free Palestine" until police escorted them out. FSU's chapter of Students for a Democratic Society have through February 2nd to appeal the decision. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunny skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 64. Northwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 38 tonight. Mainly cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Highs level off around 65. Mainly clear skies Friday with a high of 68. 70 Saturday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 64 degrees.
Every nose cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Every nose cool, you can put him to the test.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Every no heating and air conditioning.
CAC 1816186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
I'm in the midst of drafting here, Tom, and somebody took my guy with the last pick of the draft. So now I'm stuck. I got to go back through this. We'll see. I got options, buddy. I got options.
So the sound just conked on. This is for Pebble, I'm assuming?
Yeah, the stupid Pro-Am that they got to stop this, man, with all these clowns out here playing. But I will tell you, I don't even know if that tournament's going to happen. There's all kinds of weather. It's a nightmare out there right now.
So somebody picked Clint Eastwood before you could?
We don't have to take the Walking Dead. We take only the professionals, so we're in good shape there. Yeah. No, I'm able to. He doesn't swing it anymore, does he? He just sits in the booth and talks. Or at least he did. I don't even know if he's doing that anymore.
I watch so much more golf than I ever have, and I was already ahead of my time. I like golf as a kid. I don't watch the Pebble. I just don't. I don't.
It's the Pro-Am. That's what's ruined about it. I mean, I love the golf course, obviously.
Yep.
It's enjoyable to take a look at the scenery, but
it is. But I got to tell you, the course is a little overrated, I think. And the back nine, especially. No, the back nine. The back nine is.
Well, I want you to go. I've walked it, and I would like you to do the same. I have a suspicion you'll revoke that. You'll take that back.
Playing enjoyment and scenery is one thing, but like television purposes, you got 10 down the hill, then 11 up the hill, and it's all a bunch of nonsense until you get to 17 and 18, which are great, but there's just yeah.
That is a stunningly beautiful area, though, I will tell you. And walking that course, you're just like, oh my goodness gracious. You can see how it's one of the rare courses that professionals have admitted they got distracted by the blinding beauty of the hole that they were on.
Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9 are awesome too, but the front's kind of a whatever start. But yes, I would love to have you walk with me as we play around a golf out there and say, now, Tom, would you reconsider your stance as I've got 152 in on number 7? Yeah, sure. Well, no, that's impossible because it's a short par 4, but you get the point. Yeah,
it'd be fun. Eric writes, it's getting kind of fun living here in Alabama, being an FSU fan and a former marching chief. Yeah, it is. It's fun. I think it's fun for all of us to watch Alabama have to see how the other half lives. I mean, that's been a big part of this altogether. It's been a lot of fun. And then I brought this point up yesterday. Now that we've heard from the young Noles and the transfers, the folks that are making their way in here now, there's no guarantee that all of these guys that came over, whether it be from Georgia or Alabama, significantly Alabama, or LSU, are going to be home runs. But I sure like my chances because many of those guys obviously recruited out of high school and or JUCO to a place like Alabama, for instance. The check mark in the box of, go ahead and offer him a scholarship had to be made by one Nick Saban, who doesn't have a habit of whiffing. There's certain criteria that is met to be able to get a scholarship offer at Alabama. They had it rolling in such a way that you got your choice, the creme de la creme of the best 5 stars out there. You could turn 5 stars away. They had so much talent that there were quite literally guys that they went, he's talented, but he's trouble. I don't want that in my locker room. We're going to let somebody else have him. When it comes back to bite, it's okay. Most people don't have that luxury. Most people see a kid that runs a 4.2 40 and has, a 40-inch vertical and arms that go on for days, and they go, we got to save him. We'll get him right. We'll get it. It'll be very structured. But look at this kid. You're not going to find another one of these kids. You got to get that kid in here. We'll take our chances. First sign ain't going to work. We'll let him go, but I don't want anybody else to have him. Let's see if we can right the ship here. But Nick didn't have to do that. Georgia doesn't have to do that currently. And so when you get guys like that, you'd say, all right, well, they met a very basic criteria of being an Alabama scholarship football player, but that's a pretty damn high bar. That's an elite bar. That's like, okay, the best of the players available to one. And so I'll take my chances that the guys that were brought in are going to be really good football players, are going to be guys that you're able to get quite a bit out of, and maybe right away.
I'm just so impressed by how they vet players in the portal. And you're right, there's a higher chance that somebody's going to be successful from Miami than, say, Colorado State or Western Michigan. But they can be successful like Braden Fisk was. So it doesn't rule them out.
Sure.
But I just love hearing the comparisons in a way between their past experiences and now, specifically yesterday when you're hearing from Malik Benson and Ferguson as well. And Malik is talking about the tour of duty. And he's like, I can see why they do that. I can see why they do that around here. I can see why they've been as successful as they have, because this is very difficult. And then TJ's asked about Nick Saban and the retirement. And he says, I feel the same vibe here that I felt there. It's about the work. You got to go get to work. It's just, on the one hand, I'm happy because Florida State looks like, once again, and we'll get to know more of these kids. There's more interviews tomorrow, that they just bring in players with good heads on their shoulders when they vet them and they find, are they going to be fits? Are they going to be about the effort and the opportunity rather than a promise or the glitz or the glam? I'm impressed by that. But then I'm also, when I hear Alabama kids come in and say, yeah, this is about the same. It's about the same kind of program. A lot of similarities between what Nick did and what Mike Norvell is doing. That's reassuring as hell to hear. Like, we know it. You're winning a lot, but it's just, that's nice to hear from players who have lived it.
Yeah, it's affirmation, but also I just believe, and we have all along, and I know we got to go next hour here, but if the root of what you're doing, if the bedrock of your success is the work, you're going to be all right. I mean, that's the mantra. It's about hard work. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
If you've been waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together, and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknowles.com. That's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Kentucky Wildcats hosting the Florida Gators at Rupp Arena, where the Wildcats have gone 10-1 this season. UK, the 6.5-point favorite, 172.5 the total. The Gators are looking for their 4th straight win. Austin P laying 2 at Jacksonville, the total 140 at Swisher Gymnasium. North Florida and Lipscomb pick 'em at UNF Arena, 157.5 the total. Baylor laying 3 at UCF. The SEC, Alabama, 6.5-point road favorites at the Georgia Bulldogs. The total 165 of the Stegman Coliseum. Orlando Magic today, a 5-point favorite at San Antonio. Football fans, score big without the burn. Play for free for a chance to win your share of $10,000 at TumsPropBites.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it.
And now get a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. Find us at straighttalk.com. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only, excludes taxes and fees.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Keeping power reliable and affordable here in Florida is our most important commitment. At Duke Energy, we're working across our communities, strengthening our systems, rerouting power to help avoid outages, and adding proven innovations that will help make the grid stronger and more secure today and ready for tomorrow. Because Florida deserves more reliable and affordable power, and we're determined to deliver it. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2.
A lot of good stuff. So you remember that I got very excited when I saw a video of Cam Davis, the young man that is going to be part of the group of folks in the backfield toting the rock for the Noles in the upcoming season. And one of the things about Cam Davis that I got excited about was at the time I talked about the low center of gravity, the big legs, obviously the strength there, and really the fluidity with which he moved. You know, he was a guy that I love running backs that have, there's a couple different types of running backs that I really like, but if you have a guy with incredible balance, obviously, but has the body type, the thickness, the strength to go along with it, and you move that fluid, it's usually short of vision. It's a lock that you're going to be successful. There's just a certain prototype of kid that you see and you think, that might work. And moreover, the point I was making is projecting how soon it could work. Well, for any of you that have not yet, I think Tom's going to put it up on the screen here on Warchant TV if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't had a good look at Cam Davis, well, go find him on social media or watch this, but look at that young man. Now, that is a 5'10", 5'11", 200-plus pound kid that is densely built. And when I talk about the ability to come in and play right away and be able to handle the rigor of college football, of training at this level, taking hits, you got to kind of look like that. That dude is thicker, bigger, stronger than most juniors and seniors playing running back across the country. That is, as they say, just different. Built different. That guy, that's the guy that when you're in the Oklahoma drill, you count the people in front of you and you see where he is and you decide, I'm not taking that rep. Somebody else can wear that ass kicking. Somebody else can try to get lower than what that kid's going to do. So, hey, listen, I'm secure enough in my own sexuality to gush about another man's figure, and I am gushing about his. That is unreal. Look at him. That dude is a hoss. He's going to contribute right away.
He's listed as 220, 5'10", 220 pounds on Florida State's roster. This is the one that they distribute when guys actually sign as part of signing day, and they're on campus, they're processed. I believe it. There are a lot of times where, they'll say 5'9". I'm like, no, you're 5'7". They'll say, they reported Jordan Travis, I think, was 212 at one point. You're like, man, you ain't 212. You're lucky to be 197.
He might have got there. He might have got there at some point. But, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
well, 2 years ago, they said 212, and then he reported he put on his own social, I got up to an all-time high, and it was like 210. I'm like, oh, I see. Okay, I see you working.
Yeah. It's crazy.
220 here. Yeah, I buy that. I 100% buy that.
Muscle weighs more than fat. Look at that guy. Holy moly. Again, you're in the line. You're counting. I don't need this. I don't need this as part of my day. I'm tired. I don't need to be out here getting trucked by this guy. I'm going to let Steve go get trucked. Steve, you're up. Oh, no. Sorry. Didn't realize Cam was coming up. Sorry about that, Steve. They're on to you eventually. At some point, you got to wear it because the third or fourth time you do it, they're like, hey, man, no, you're up.
This is now a player that climbs to the top 5 that I really want to see in spring, because if there is the speed or the burst, it doesn't even have to be top end. If there's just short area burst that you can go from 0 to 60 at that size, he could contribute right away. The fun part about all of this, too, is that this isn't a guy that is a hired gun that you got at the last second, maybe widely speculated about best and final offer, and he was the one that said yes. He said yes to Florida State at the end. This is somebody who's been committed to Florida State for years. This is a player who's already been described as a leader in the making. If not in his freshman year, he will be soon right after that. Somebody who played quarterback in high school. So he has
3.7 GPA, hard worker in the classroom, hard worker in the weight room, dedicated, leadership, focused, smart, ideal teammate, built like that. It is a gift to be able to bring in a kid who has all of these facets. I'm telling you, I don't do a lot of talking about kids in recruiting. I don't do a lot of projections for kids that have never played college football in which I give them a weighty praise that say, I really can't imagine he doesn't do anything but kick ass. Like, I don't usually do that because I get that high school football is so much different than big-time college football. But I did it with this kid. The second I saw his film, I went, oh, okay. We got us a guy here. And that was just watching the center of gravity, the fluidity with which he ran, the shifting directions at that size. And that, I mean, he is a bulldozer. Look at bowling ball. Nobody wants to deal with that. You can't get beneath those pads. It's a problem.
This is where I hope that the offensive line, and, they've thrown a lot of poundage at the problem, 330 here, 320 there. Even the kid from Harvard's a pretty big player too. I think 6'5", 330. So you bring in a lot of those types of players. You retain quite a few large bodies, hopefully one or two from that class a couple of years ago, elevate and get into that rotation of 8. If this offensive line is good, if this offensive line is better at running the basics that Florida State wants to run than they were last year, if you can put a player like a Ferguson next to a Keandre Jones, because he said he'd play center, which I found interesting. So TJ Ferguson said, if I need to play center, I will. What if you had it where Darius and TJ and Keandre were your left guard to your right guard, and you just want to run straight ahead with players like Keziah Holmes, with players like Roydell Williams, and this young man in Cam Davis? We could turn into a bully of an offense in short order, but the offensive line has to be the thing that changes from year over year, because we do have dudes now that know how to run downhill, run hard.
I think the offense is going to be better than last year. And I've said it. I've hinted at it. I've talked about it. I didn't love the offense last year. Part of that was injury. Part of that was knowing you could win, kind of falling back on your defense and protecting your quarterback. And part of that was obviously the offensive line was a disappointment. So you had injuries that weighed into this. You had some precautionary measures that you were taking, which limited your offense. And then you had an offensive line that underwhelmed. There's just no way around it. Part of that was injury too. So you marry all those things together and you kind of had, inconsistencies. And look, if the offense could have stayed healthy, we saw what they could be early in the season, where they were moving the ball exceptionally well. And they actually had a measure of a deep threat. Like, I think we only remember Keon Coleman for the back half of the season. But if you go back to that LSU game and you go back to those early games, Keon got by people. He had requisite enough speed to create to dial up the downfield play. When he had the injuries begin to mount, and then eventually what we think was a deep thigh contusion, and he really couldn't really let it go, he became a different player. He was a possession receiver. And even then, he was not a threat to beat you over the top. Johnny Wilson missing a couple of games and also not ever being a burner meant that, you didn't get the matchups you wanted, and he certainly couldn't stretch the field in the way that he's capable of if he's healthy. Don't forget Hakeem Williams, who had shown signs of having some top-end speed. Even in that one touchdown run, you began to see what he could be. But, he got hurt. And then obviously Vendravius Jacobs really didn't contribute. And you had Destin Hill's injury, who's the burner of the group. And you just didn't have it. And now there is the concerted effort to change your identity of who you are. And it's what you're pointing out about the beef in the middle. You go out and get those linemen, and you got other guys that you brought back in for the purpose that you like that size. You might have a chance. I mean, God forbid you got a healthy Robert Scott out there at left tackle. I don't know. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't trust it. But also Simmons, I don't know how much he's going to contribute. A lot of people think it'll be longer down the road than I anticipate, because I think that a full off season of being able to get after it in the weight room with those feet and the natural size at 6'8", 300+ pounds means he could really be a factor in this season. He could be. I'm not saying he will be, but it wouldn't be shocking to me. So now if you're gonna be able to bully people at the line of scrimmage and run the football, we know what Mike does with creating the extra gap, what Mike does off of that, the explosives that you can dial up off of that. Now that you brought in the speed at wide receiver, you got two burners that you brought in at wide receiver. You got a quarterback who specializes in that throw. That is the deep ball. That's the big arm. That's what he has. He's not terribly accurate. Game to game, he's not wildly consistent. He's pretty good, and he's played a lot of football, and he's 6'5", 250 himself. Short yardage situations, Florida State's going to be very difficult to stop. And by the way, you don't have to really protect him. Brock Glenn's going to come a long way during these two camps that he's going to have before this season. It was baptism by fire with him last year. The poor man has to go out and start a game that he wasn't prepared to start and didn't know he was going to have to start. And then he has to play in the Georgia game, and you got 20-something dudes out. And he still, I thought, acquitted himself pretty well. I thought he grew a lot from the Louisville game to the Georgia game. To the point where I was prepared to take a few lumps and start Brock Glenn this year, but they decided to go bridge. So they go bridge quarterback with a guy that's played a ton and had a real good year at Oregon State and does have that big arm and is that big body and has played a ton of football. So you don't have to take the step back. But here's the deal. What do you really owe him? Let's go. You run him where you want to run him. And I hope he's fine. He's a big, strong kid. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Of course I hope he doesn't get hurt. But if he does, you got Brock. Brock will be fine. You can really let it fly, is my point. You can let it go here. And I think you're seeing what they're trying to engineer, what they're hoping they can be. We don't know if it will be successful, but I have a hunch that it's going to be. I'm bullish on this offense. I can kind of see where this could go, and I think they could be more consistent. Nobody ever knows about injury luck, and so, all bets are off if people get hurt.
Well, yeah, that's the case. And if it's the same injury luck as last year, then we're screwed because, we had such good veteran depth this past season that you could absorb all of that and still win 13 games. Now, I think you've got depth this year, but it's not proven the way it was in 2023. So you do need things to even out a little bit. I'm not even saying go your way. Just how about they even out? Mm-hmm. But I do like the idea that you have built on offense a couple of different things. It's like the home run ball, but then also the ground and pound. And I want to see how that materializes in practice. Both camps are going to be interesting. And, I don't know if they're going to break out a lot of wrinkles, but do we have to deviate away from the interior of the offensive line if we need a yard? Or have we built up enough beef and have we built up enough toughness on the ground? Like Keziah doesn't run meekly. He doesn't. Neither does Roydell. Neither will this kid. And if you have DJ in addition to all of that and his size, come on, man. How about we are a team that imposes? That would be a different dimension. There's always trade-offs. There's always going to be a trade-off. If you want to specialize in one thing, you're going to give up another. But to me, it looks like they want track meet on the outside, and then they want trench war on the inside. And I'm all for that. That could be a lot of fun to watch.
Let's take another look at him before the break. Look at this kid again. For those that tuned in a little late, here you go. This is what this guy looks like. That's a monster. By the way, he's young as hell.
Yeah.
17, is that right?
Yeah, he should be going to prom.
God bless the poor people who had to tackle this man.
Over the next 3 years? Think about that. The only thing that could be missing in this equation, because he's got the size, we can clearly see that, would be speed for the college game. I don't know, vision, hands.
But you've got vision if you're being recruited the way he was recruited. Like, that shows up on film. We can see that he can see. Like Jimbo used to say, if I have to teach you how to run the football or see things that you're not here. So.
And he knows the entirety of an offense. He was a quarterback, and then also quarterback runs require more vision than any of them because you got to invent ways to create space for yourself, whether it's pocket presence or whether it's breaking the pocket and getting out in the open. Yeah, this could be a lot of fun, and I like the number. Good choice on number 3 there, Cam.
He looks 25 years old. He looks like if you didn't know his backstory, and somebody showed you a picture of camp in the NFL, they're like, oh, the Giants broke camp this week. And you just we're looking at the pictures online and that guy was in the picture. You'd be like, yeah, it looks like an NFL running back. Look at that dude. That's a big dude. That's what you would say. You wouldn't even think anything of it. You just keep clicking. Like, they all look like that in the NFL. They're all monsters. They're all freak ass athletes. They're all huge guys. Like, that's a grown ass man. And he's ours. By the way, the battle's in on a good run here, on a really good run here. And I talked to Ingram yesterday, had a good conversation with him. And I won't get into that, but I will say that somebody just posted here that Battle's In just signed Lucas. And, I think we're all – he kind of got lost in the shuffle, Tom, because you had all the guys out there that you had. But when we got him, he was the number one lineman that we were bringing in. This was the guy that you thought, oh, well, dude could be –
I think they're talking about Jalen Lucas. But
okay.
Well, they Lucas Simmons, I believe that they're well acquainted at the Battle's End with Lucas.
Well, I know they are, and they were, obviously very excited about him. And to me, that's why I got excited again, because he's who's on my mind.
Yep.
When you brought that guy in, he was a star in the making. They talked about his feet, the length. He has the measurements to be a starting left tackle in the National Football League, and then we didn't get to see him. So you have a lot of potential that you haven't either seen yet or gotten anything out of yet, that if 75% of what we're projecting comes to pass, Florida State's in a very good position to have, I think, a more successful offense this upcoming year. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Excellence defines us, so we'll never let orthopedic pain and injury define you. TOC is a physician-led team of fellowship-trained specialists providing the highest level of orthopedic care in the region. With 12 centers of excellence and TOC Now urgent care clinics, our patients access affordable expert care fast. TOC, only experts. Schedule an appointment at teamtoc.com.
Hey folks, it's me, Mac and More, spokesperson for Tallahassee's favorite Apple and Mac product store, Mac and More. We all know what Mac is all about. It's your MacBooks, iMacs, Apple Watch, iPhones, iPads, we've all got them. But what's really cool is the and more. And there's a lot more at Mac and More. They can help set up your new gear, migrate and back up your data, teach you new tricks and how to use everything better. And if something costs too much to fix, they'll tell you the truth. There's a lot more at Mac and More. See for yourself at macandmoresystems.com. Or you can take it from me, Mr. Mac and More.
Give your business a facelift with a modern, consistent, creative brand overhaul from Curiosity Marketing Group. These days, it's not enough for your business just to have a standard website or a Google listing to reach your customers. Your business needs to stand out with eye-popping branding, modern web development, and strong marketing. And it takes a team to pull it all together. Words and websites matter. At Curiosity, we make the most of yours. Find out more at curiositymg.com.
I used to fight almost on a daily basis working on my business website. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I could never get it to function the way I needed it to, and I was losing customers because of it. That's when I called Curiosity Marketing. They listened, they understood, we collaborated, and in the end, they delivered beyond my highest expectations. Now, I can barely keep up with the work. They say the future belongs to the curious, and now I'm excited about the future of my business.
Find out more at curiositymg.com.
Hey, Jimmy. Yeah. You got one of those new cars that keeps you in the lane when you're driving or slams on the brakes if you get too close to another car?
No, I don't like that fancy technology stuff.
A lot of people don't. It's called lane departure warning and forward collision alert. And all that fancy stuff is attached to your windshield. So if it gets damaged, you need a qualified company like Seminoles Autoglass to replace and recalibrate your windshield. But don't call your insurance company. Just go to SeminoleAutoglass.com and upload your insurance card. Hey, Jimmy.
What?
Did you know that Teslas come with a unique new car smell? They call it Elon Musk. Better call Seminole.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call 850-575-9393 or visit us online at mnlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.
Sirs and or ma'am, and I'm going to enjoy some of the pre-made, well put together, delicious meals, and I might add 2 servings of banana pudding will be thrown into the mix. My call has been answered for the greatness of banana pudding, and it's from Social Kitchen. Go by there, you'll see. Talk to Chef Chris. Ask him anything about cooking, buddy. That dude knows it. I learned a ton in like 10 minutes of being there, and then I looked like I lied. I took the meats that I got, I prepared them the way that Chef Chris told me to, I cooked them the way that he told me to, and then when my kids said, "Dad, you did a great job," I said, "I studied for hours. I care about you. You'll just never understand." And I got a lot of credit for that. So you can do the same. Go in there, get the secrets. You got to rub your meats. And once you do, you'll be happy, and your family will be happy. Everybody will celebrate. And now I've got a plan in place. And at least once a week I go by there. The other thing about it is they have pre-planned, put together meals for you that are fresh, made that day. You can go in there, swing in there, and be like, "I don't have time tonight, guys. Here's food for 4. Heat it up. You're good to go." Good times.
Man, I feel like you've got a missed opportunity there. I know that you have to do the informational spot during commercial breaks when you first launch a campaign, but I do believe that rubbing your meats with Jeff Cameron can be a featured 30-second. It could be the 30-second spot or the 60-second spot for this particular client. And I think it would do well. I think you'd get some good return on those advertisements.
We can do it live, too. I could segue right in. It's time to rub your meat with me, Jeff Cameron, and here we go. By the way, Jalen DeTally knows what I'm talking about. That banana pudding there is no joke. It is delicious. You just add it in there. Just add it on in there. It's fantastic. Like I said the thing about banana pudding a few weeks ago because it was the holidays, and I was like, I haven't had banana pudding in years. The way I remembered it was good, but it's been a minute. I don't know if I'll. And then Matt Thompson called me and said, "We make banana pudding. It's the best you've ever had. I'll get you some if you'd like to try it." And that's how it happened. And he's not lying. It's good.
Promo code MEATRubbin for 20% off your next banana pudding. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag time to rub that meat. But, I've gotten good at that. Many years of experience. And now I know exactly what you got to do. And I got pointers, and now it's better than ever. So there you go. Just like that. Just like that. I wanted to go back to what I was talking about with Simmons. One final point on that, ribbon on that. I'm happy for that kid, man. Because when you have high expectations and opportunities that lay before you and it's kind of taken away through no fault of your own, and I won't get into that. There's nothing salacious about any of this. It's just that you had to be very careful, and make sure he was long-term going to be healthy enough to play football, and he's got the full okay to do so now. That's all that matters. And so that's huge, because by all accounts, that's a great kid who's really willing to put in the work, and I'm rooting for that to happen. I think that this could be a year where he gets on the field and contributes. The guy that we didn't talk about and we never talk about, and I frankly am kind of surprised that he's still on the team, and I don't mean that negatively. The way that modern college football works and the way that kids lose patience and are disgruntled, and I don't necessarily resent that. It kind of stinks. You lose kids a little prematurely, but Julian Armella, what do we think? What do we think? I mean, there are days, Tom, we've brought it up many times. There are days on this in the practice regimens that we see where he's really good and looks like a star in the making. And there are days where you're like, it's just not happening. Does he take another big step forward? Are we adding him to the list of reasons the offensive line will be better in 2024 than it was in 2023?
I think he's got a crack at being in that 8-man rotation. It's just that they've retained so much that it's hard for me to say that, he's a shoo-in to be a part of that 8-man rotation. The negative, I'll get that out of the way first. He's on the ground too much. Those bad reps, he ends up on the ground too much, and that it can't happen. That's a tough thing. Mm-hmm. When it was Jared Verse and you were a true freshman, understandable, 100% get why Jared Verse might put your butt in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get to the second year, you need to see a little bit less of that, and it was less, but I don't know how much less. And the thing is, here's the positive, is that his good reps are legit. His good reps are everything that everybody hoped that Julian Armella would be. He's athletic enough. He's strong enough. It's just the consistency factor. I don't think he's out of shape. That's another. Sometimes kids, they're out of shape and there's a lack of commitment there. And that's the last positive I'd say. There have been whispers over Julian's time here about commitment. Man, I'm telling you, anytime they crank up a cinematic recap, and I don't think he's doing it for the glitz and the glam, like when Tim Tebow used to find cameras, anytime, like the ACC championship, who is holding the cooler to dump on Mike Norvell? Who is front and center and Mike Norvell is giving one of his speeches after the game is over? Like, Armella is there. He's locked in. So I think there's a commitment there. I think he's in shape and his good reps are good. It's just those bad reps are holding him back because they're not, you can't win with that. Not with that lack of consistency. So this is a year of consistency for him. If he nails that, then he'll climb up and he'll be a contender in the top 8.
I was watching, is it the Senior Bowl that they're preparing for right now? I was flipping around. I had it on mute on the NFL Network, and I was watching the reps being taken at various position groups. And did you see the footage today from Jaheim Bell?
The deep out route?
Yeah, so he's being held the whole time. He just powers through, and it's unbelievable. And it makes you mad, not at him at all. You're happy for him. But it is very clear to me that he is now 100% healthy. And I'll tell you, add him to the list, but he's one of those guys that last year, when you saw that speed and that strength in the LSU game, and really subsequently a couple of other games early, you thought that's a massive difference maker. And upon reflection, watching that rep today, I'll see if I can find that rep and post it. But he is being held by a linebacker, and he bitches this guy and runs through. It's unbelievable. And it's power. It is speed. Makes the catch afterwards, and you go, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that really all the way back to Boston College. The injury to that ankle never healed, and it's so aggravating.
Yeah, again, if we can speak to Coach Norvell before springtime, Mike, I know that you want to move forward, but can we get some clarity on just how hurt that team was? Because we can guess, but just how hurt were they? Because a lot of guys played through a lot of freaking nonsense.
So we were talking a moment ago before the break, and I mentioned that I had talked to Ingram, and I know Ingram tweeted this out after the disappointment in the Georgia situation. And he hinted at the fact, and he can do that, and we really couldn't at the time, but he hinted at the fact that a lot of these guys were playing through a lot of things. And a lot of people, I understand, if you're a fan of another team, you roll your eyes and you say, everybody's hurt at the end of the year. Man, there are varying degrees of that. It's not always an excuse. Sometimes it's an explanation. But this is a reality. Many of those players that would have been playing for FSU on that day did not skip at a sheer disappointment or bitter disappointment, but rather the minor surgeries they needed before readying themselves for what is happening right now. This is the showcase. This is the time to go get paid. This is where, not an exhibition game against Georgia, this is where the NFL coaches are to watch you, to see what you are. This in the combine, and we all know that in pro day. This is your chance. And to see him run today, the way that he ran today, the ferocity, the speed, the size, the strength, the talent, all of that, which was not on display, I mean, for weeks and weeks for FSU, let you know that he was one of many that were a shell of themselves as the year went on. And it got increasingly aggravating. I wanted to, and this is, I guess, getting back to the point, Mike couldn't talk about it. Coaches are very, very aware of what to say and what not to say. If they're paying attention, you can't. First of all, you're not going to discuss players' health. You're just not going to do it. If you can avoid it, you're going to avoid it, especially if a guy plans to play. So if he's going to play for you, you're certainly not going to tell the opposing coach that, hey, he's at 60%. So you're not going to bring that up. So any observation we may have that, hey, he looks a lot slower. I mean, I started telling you weeks before the end of the season that Keon Coleman didn't look anything like Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
And I would just turn and go, man, that dude is just an average wide receiver right now. He's not anything special. And that's not me being critical of Keon Coleman. That was me pointing out he's not healthy. And we really brought it up every time we did the pregame show together. We would try to hint at, hey, let's see what Jaheim Bell has today. Because I wanted to say the next sentence, which was a whole lot of nothing for weeks. And now you realize that it's all the more amazing, they went 13-0. But now is the time that you could, as we go into spring, if you talk to Mike, he could say it. Because there's nothing at stake anymore. I mean, they've moved on. They've gotten healthy. They're working out. They're doing great things, and it's going to be a new year. You can say, without it sounding like a batch of excuses, yeah, man, we were up against it last year. It's amazing. Hey, I know a lot of people have to deal with it. You don't have to focus on it. You don't have to spend all your time, trying to explain away certain aspects of things that didn't go well. But you can just straight up tell people, I've not had many years like that. I remember talking to a coach years ago, and they were saying, well, there's no accounting for that. Football is a war of attrition. We all know that. It's cliche to say, but it's true. You don't know in any given year if you're going to lose 5 guys on one side of the ball. Well, how about 9? How about 8? How about 11 different guys at varying points that all play meaningful reps for you on one side of the ball being seriously compromised? I don't think I've ever seen it. In the 26 years I've been broadcasting, I don't think I've seen that many guys on one side of the ball. Now, I've seen years where we had a disproportionate amount of injury compared to other teams in the league or other teams that we were facing. Some years, it was the kind of years that back when I'd take calls or we'd get emails and people would say, are we doing the right things in the training room? Are we training guys the way we need to be training guys? Because for whatever reason, we've got 14 players that have been hurt this year, and I'm tired of it. And we all get tired of it. But sometimes the sport's like that. I mean, guys fall wrong. Some guys fall into people. Some guys make a cut, another dude falls on their ankle, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the trade-off for that was 13. 13, we were remarkably healthy. And if we weren't on the offensive line, then that could have been a problem. As dominant as that team was, if they lost 2 of their starting offensive linemen for the season at any point,
could have been in trouble, yeah.
You're vulnerable. You probably still win a lot of those games, but you're vulnerable, and now you have a weakness that a team can pinpoint. Last year was very, very frustrating. One of those guys that was hurt towards the end of the year was Braden Fisk, and he's making waves at the Senior Bowl as well for his quicks. You're seeing different media outlets talking about Braden Fisk as probably a day 2 guy, where he wasn't on their radars at that point, which I find interesting. Maybe the Invitational could have put Braden Fisk on some more people's radars because the way he was trending towards the end of the season.
He was on fire at the end. They could block him. Nobody could.
They couldn't. And it was exactly, this is what will always drive me nuts, because sometimes the extra access makes you even more angry. I remember in the preseason when he and Jared Verse were building up the rapport together. And there's this one drill that I'll never forget. And I hope they're both all pro type players, because the story gets better if they're all pro type players. But it's Odell, and it's Braden, and it's Jared, and it's the whole defensive line. But those 3 members of the team, 1 coach, 2 players, are just talking over different ways that they can scheme up a 2-man game, to trip up 3 offensive linemen. They know that there's going to be a double on that side, but what can they do with their steps, with their shoulders, with every little detail of how they rush to trick an offensive line to think one thing's going to happen and then boom, Jared loops around Braden or vice versa or whatever it is. And it's just it's chess. It's an exercise that they're going through, and it lasted about a full period, which is, well over 5 minutes. And it was one of the best things I saw because you saw how Braden's brain, Jared's brain worked in sync about how to get after a quarterback in a third and obvious situation. And it was so awesome. But the thing was, we didn't really see a whole lot of that on the field in the 12-game season until about November. Like Florida and Louisville were different. And that's the whole thing that they were working on in preseason camp. And, I just wish we got to see it in the Invitational. But hopefully those two guys, we know Jared's stock is where it is, but hopefully Braden's continues to rise because he needed a little surgery to be able to do stuff in the Senior Bowl this week.
Jared Verse made me laugh retweeting Trevor. Is it Sakima, who's the Tampa Bay guy? There was that tweet of how quick Braden Fisk is off the ball, and Jared Verse wrote, "He's too quick. He's too quick." He is. And hey, maybe down the line there in Tampa, who knows? That wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd be fun to
you
watch.
Put him with Diaby and
and Diaby had a good year.
And Cansey. Man, yeah, that would be nice. That would be very nice.
Those two guys can play.
Yeah.
Bucks have hit on low-key. The Bucks have hit on some really nice draft choices here lately.
Hey, man, they want a playoff game with the amount of dead money that Denver's about to have with Unlimited, with Mr. Unlimited.
I saw a picture of the Denver Broncos. Oh, don't do it. Saw a picture of the Denver Broncos pro shop there where you go in and you get your gear. And every one of those Russell Wilson jerseys are available for very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. You can get you a Russell Wilson jersey for like 90% off, and you can put Mr. Unlimited on the back. Wear it with pride, Tom. Put it up there in the man cave.
I just, in a situation like this, as pretty well run as the Buccaneers organization has been, I'm just glad that there's not enough money for the Bucs to even think about making that work.
No, that would be a bad move because
if we had the money, that the Glazers like to sell jerseys. So I'm glad that we don't have the money to do that.
Well, and Baker Mayfield's better than he is, so that would be stupid.
Yeah.
Just put it that way. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Child labor restrictions are one step closer to being eased in Florida. Currently, 16 and 17-year-olds in Florida cannot work before 6:30 a.m. or after 11 p.m. when school is in session. To change that, business and industry groups are supporting two proposals that would allow Florida teens to work longer. Senator Burgess is proposing opening the window for 16 and 17-year-olds to be allowed to work starting at 5:30 a.m. and ending at midnight. This would put Florida in line with 7 other states. State lawmakers are considering new rules for Florida's hemp industry. A House committee approved a proposal that would limit the dosage of any hemp product sold in the state. For nearly an hour, dozens of people urged state lawmakers to not approve those changes. Hemp was defined in the 2018 federal farm bill as anything from a cannabis plant with a 0.3% concentration of THC. Hemp has since become a $16 billion industry in Florida. If passed, the bill could make up to 90% of hemp products illegal. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunny skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 64. Northwesterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. 38 tonight. Mainly cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Highs up a lot around 65. Mainly clear skies Friday with a high of 68. 70 Saturday. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 65.
Hello, I'm Dana Brooks.
And I'm Jimmy Basic of Basic Brooks Law Offices.
Traffic cameras are everywhere these days.
And Basic Brooks is partnered with RoadProof to get access to all their vast network of cameras.
This is a valuable tool to help us search for evidence that could help you if you were involved in an accident.
If you've been hurt in an accident, call Basic Brooks and we'll find out if the proof you need is out there.
Call Basic Brooks and we'll do everything we can to help you come back stronger.
Call us now at 850-777-7777.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chunglo, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the pan con chocolate. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside.
Good to see some Florida State guys getting attention today. Wonder if it goes 1, 2, 3 in the draft. Does it go Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels? Good. Could. Wonder where Penix goes. And then after that, how do you have them? It's a big drop-off. It's a big drop-off after that. I guess, Penix, obviously, as I said. After that, you can get into great debates about who likes what. Why do I bring it up? Well, I saw a proposal where aforementioned Baker Mayfield could be signed sort of a bridge deal, 3 years, $80 million. It's a team-friendly deal, backloaded, where after a year there's a way out and it's not a huge cap hit. And both sides could kind of get what they want. It also frees you up to franchise tag a couple of your better players. So it's interesting. I wondered if they would do it. Who else are you going to get in free agency? And there's nobody you're in a position to draft. So let's say you take him and you sign him to a team-friendly deal if he'll do it. And then from there, is there somebody in the second or third round you'd like? Would you take, like a Michael Pratt from Tulane?
Man, I don't know. If you're asking me specifically, there's nobody I love right now. And that's strange because this year is considered to be one where there's a little bit more depth at the quarterback position, but you couldn't pay me for Bo Nix. You couldn't pay me for JJ McCarthy. Like, no.
What about Spencer Rattler?
Look, frankly, I'd rather take a flyer on Jordan Travis in the 5th or 6th round. If you're going to tell me that we've got to take one in the draft and you don't have one of those top flight players, man, I'd go get a value late and then hope that something works, but let that player come in and be a backup. It could be the equivalent of Jordan. It doesn't have to be Jordan Travis himself. But no, I'm not enamored with the middle tier of the quarterbacks in this class. So I would try to do what I could do to backload the Baker deal, make that work. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the offensive coordinator hire is and what that particular hire, who they want. I mean, they got to bring in who they want. The only way that wouldn't happen is they would interview the OC and say, look, Baker had a good working relationship with Mike and Godwin and Otten, so we're going to try and run it back. You got to be cool with that if you're going to take this job. And so there could be a dynamic at play there, but I'll be fascinated to see what we do.
You know what's funny? When you do this, when you go through and you look at all the quarterbacks that are available to be drafted in the projections, and you get down to that group, like you were just talking about Jordan Travis. Well, let me pull this up here because I figured he was like 10th or 11th of the quarterbacks that people are looking at, and that's about right. Well, one side has him as the 9th quarterback on the board. Others have him behind, say, Joe Milton and Sam Hartman. I don't know that I agree with that, but anyhow, the point is he's in that neighborhood, right? But I'm with you. Basically, after Penix, and there's a thought, by the way, Jaden Daniels could be the second quarterback off the board, that it could go Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Interesting to see. But one thing I looked at, Jaden Daniels is 6'4". Penix is 6'3". obviously Caleb's not real tall. Drake May, 6'4", just said that. Michael Pratt, the kid at Tulane that people like, is 6'2". Joe Milton, who's not accurate enough for my taste, is 6'5". But I didn't realize Sam Hartman's only 6'1", same height as Jordan Travis. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That doesn't shock me, but so is Caleb Williams. Caleb is 6'1".
Yeah, he's 6'1" too.
If you look at the stats from Caleb's season, it's good. He had to play hero ball. He had no choice.
He's a talent.
I just worry about, does that create bad habits? Because you're going to be going from a place where you needed to play hero ball to probably a place where you need to play hero ball because you're being drafted by a bad football team. I wonder if that produces some bad habits. But yeah, like Caleb, the way he plays, I would have thought it would have read 6'2.5", 6'3", but at least his player profile is non-combine measurement at this point. Is just 6'1", same as Jordan. And I think Jordan is pretty much legitimately about 6'1". I think that's accurate.
Would point out that somebody amongst this group of players that I'm about to name will be in the league 5 years from now and probably be good. All right, you ready to prepare yourself where you'll go, no way, and yet you know this is true. Phil Jakovich, Caden Slovis, Devin Leary, Brennan Armstrong, JT Daniels, Tanner Mordecai, Austin Reed. One of these guys that we all watched play and kind of rolled our eyes at various points is going to be in the league 7 years from now. You're like, never really thought Devin Leary was going to be much, guys. Look at my man. It happens all the time.
That's funny that you say that because of that list. I think it's far and away Devin Leary who would be that guy. Because good Devin Leary, he's really good. And you might think he's been gone for a couple of years. Louisville had the unfortunate day where they caught good Devin Leary in Kentucky. He made 4 or 5 throws in that game. I remember because of doing the advanced look for the ACC championship. I went, well, there he is. Where you been, Devin? I'm sure that's the guy that Kentucky thought they were getting. Well, where you been, my man? I'm talking about dropping it in the bucket 30 yards across the field.
I watched it. I was cracking up laughing. I'm like, there he is.
The good Devin Leary has NFL throws in him.
The good Devin Leary has stretches of time where you're like, that's an NFL quarterback. The bad Devin Leary is that kid wouldn't start for my high school. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really, really weird. And it's funny, though. I always go down to look at like 13 through 25 of the quarterbacks that are listed as eligible for this draft and who's going to take a flyer, who's going to be a free agent. Because Lord knows, nobody would have taken Purdy. I mean, he was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. That was a non-plus career at Iowa State. You're like, whatever. And here he is. But, yeah, you're going to sit there and you're going to go, look at this. Devin Leary is a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good. It's funny. We'll remember this conversation if that is correct. Know that I saw it. And for years and years and years on the Jeff Cameron Show, we would rank these injuries. This is a good one. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Blue Jackets, Adam Fantilli is out 8 weeks with a lacerated calf cut by a skate blade. Mentioned it could have been much worse.
Man, I got to tell you, though.
Skate blade off the calf.
8 weeks for the laceration? That's not a light one. That's deep. 8 weeks.
We have to put your calf back together deep. Oh. Calves. Something about calves. Not quite testicles, but still. Calves are a toughie, man. Ooh. You hear about Jimmy? No. Ripped his calf in half jogging around the block. Jesus! That's how that conversation goes. It's true. You're like, ah! Then the next time you see him, he's got a limp. You know it's permanent. Jimmy, sorry about that. It's a toughie. Yeah, he's trying to jog around the block.
Oh, no. Doctor says I've got a shot in about 6 weeks of rehab.
Nah. You don't have a shot. You're going to be limping for life, pal.
I hate that it's your anchor leg for your golf swing too, brother. That's
the ripped. Oh! We haven't had a good one in a while, so I'm glad you brought it to our attention. I appreciate that greatly. I have not had the one where we're like, oh boy, I don't know if I can read this one. I had that. We had a couple of those in our time together, Tom, including the Ruptured testicle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think Kaz Matsui had a particularly disgusting one, too. You could just look up Kaz Matsui injury. I think it was when he was with Houston. And it had to do with that neighborhood of where Adrian Beltre took his.
The Beltre one is an all-time one because not only
hot corner,
not only were they bleeding, he made the play. My man hopped up and made the play. That's dedication. You're not getting a free bag on me.
You may get my bag, but you're not getting a free bag on me.
On me, buddy. There's no chance. Oh, I can't fathom. Well, the one that we used to show all the time as we wrap it up is the umpire wearing the one with the natural sound. The natural sound where that line drive, you hear the bat crack, and then you hear, and you go, oh no, and everybody runs away. Just kind of like, okay, we're gonna call it a day. Nobody needs to be playing beyond this minute.
Just if you want to discuss yourself at your desk, folks, just look up Kaz Matsui and then fissure, the word fissure.
Oh, Did you look it up? Oh, and I see Matthew in the other room. He's just shaking. He shook.
Because Matthew knew. He knew what I was talking about. I remember seeing that on the bottom line, and I thought, they can print that on the bottom line? That
okay, I'm going to go look at it as soon as we sign off. Goodbye, Tom. I'll talk to you tomorrow, brother. And good work out of you and Matthew. Good work out of all you guys. Have a great day. Peace.